Logos, the invisible force that shapes how you think, believe, and live. Every argument you've ever lost, every idea that suddenly made sense, every moment where someone changed your mind without raising their voice, that wasn't emotion, it was structure. There is a force older than religion, stronger than persuasion, and quieter than belief. The Greeks called it logos, and once you see it, you start noticing something unsettling. The world doesn't run on truth. It runs on what follows from what. This video is about that force, how it shaped your brain, built civilization, and how it's being used on you every single day. This is not motivation. This is not self-help. This is the operating system underneath thought itself. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more psychology and neuroscience that will truly change your life. What logos really is. The word logos doesn't mean logic, not exactly. It means word, reason, pattern, account. Heraclitus said the logos governs all things, yet most people live as if reality were private, as if their opinions were enough. Logos is not what you believe. It's what must be true if your beliefs are true. Think of it like this. Emotion is the weather. Logos is the climate. You can feel anything, but you cannot escape consequences. Logos is the invisible chain between cause and effect, between premise and conclusion, between assumption and outcome. Mythos versus logos. For most of human history, we live by mythos. Stories explain the world. Gods caused storms. Ritual created order. Mythos asks, what does this mean? Logos asks, how does this work? When logos appeared, something shocking happened. God stopped controlling nature. Nature became predictable. And once something is predictable, it can be controlled. Logos didn't destroy myth overnight. It quietly replaced it, one explanation at a time. The psychology. Why logos feels true. Your brain is not designed to seek truth. It's designed to seek coherence. Contradictions create stress. Confusion burns energy. But a clean structure feels like relief. This is why bad ideas survive. Not because they're true, but because they're internally consistent. When someone says, if A is true and B follows from A, then C must be true. Your nervous system relaxes, even before you check if A was real. Logos doesn't persuade emotionally, it sedates doubt. Why smart people believe nonsense. Intelligence doesn't protect you from bad ideas. In some cases, it makes you more vulnerable. The brain confuses logical fluency with truth. If an argument flows, we assume it's valid. Most manipulation doesn't attack your beliefs. It controls the frame. Whoever sets the premises controls the conclusions. This is why debates are rarely about facts. They're about which assumptions go unquestioned. Neuroscience. Why understanding feels good. Dopamine isn't the reward chemical, it's the prediction chemical. When your brain understands something, it predicts the world more accurately. Logos sharpens prediction. That's why insight feels almost euphoric. It's not pleasure, it's orientation. Understanding is your brain saying, I know where I am now. How logos built the modern world. Law is logos written down. Money is logos everyone agrees to pretend is real. Science is logos tested against reality. Code is logos that executes itself. Civilization is not built on beliefs. It's built on rules that work even when no one believes in them. That's the power of logos. It doesn't require faith, only consistency. Using logos consciously. If you want clarity, don't ask, how do I feel about this? Ask, what must be true for this to be true? With this question, most confusion collapses instantly. When your life feels chaotic, it's rarely because you lack motivation. It's because your internal structure is broken. Contradictory goals, hidden assumptions, unexamined premises. Fix the structure, and meaning follows automatically. Logos in everyday life. Logos doesn't live in philosophy books. It lives in your calendar, in your arguments, in your anxiety. And once you see it there, you realize something uncomfortable. Most of your daily stress isn't emotional, it's structural. Example 1. Procrastination. You tell yourself you're lazy or undisciplined, but look closer. You say, this task matters, and also, I don't know exactly how to start. Those two statements cannot coexist peacefully. The brain avoids contradiction by avoidance, not because you're weak, but because the structure is broken. Logos doesn't ask for motivation. It asks for sequence. What is the first concrete action? Not the best one, the first possible one. Fix the structure, and action follows. Example 2. Arguments in relationships. Most arguments aren't about what's being said. They're about unstated premises. You don't care about me is rarely the real claim. The hidden structure is usually, if you cared, you would do X. You didn't do X. Therefore, you don't care. But what if X was never agreed upon? Logos doesn't pick sides. It exposes assumptions. And once assumptions are visible, emotional intensity drops. Clarity is always calming. Example 3. Anxiety. Anxiety feels emotional, but underneath it's often logical overload. Too many variables, too many unknowns, no hierarchy. The brain keeps asking, what matters most? And when it can't answer, it stays on high alert. Logos reduces anxiety by ranking reality. What is controllable? What is not? What follows if this fails? And then what? Fear dissolves when the chain ends. Example 4. Being persuaded without noticing, ever agree with someone, and only later realize you don't know why. That wasn't charisma, it was structure. They didn't convince you emotionally. They walked you through a path your brain didn't resist. Premise by premise, step by step. Your mind didn't ask, is this true? It asked, does this follow? How to master logos. Mastering logos isn't about sounding smart, it's about seeing invisible structure. And that starts with one discipline: slowing down conclusions. 1. Premise isolation. Every belief is built on assumptions, but most people never look at them. Practice this. When you hear a claim, silently ask, what must be true for this to be true? Write it down if you have to. You'll notice something strange. Most arguments collapse before they're attacked. 2. Assumption. Hunting. This is the real skill. Logos isn't about logic chains. It's about hidden premises. Ask, what is being treated as obvious? What is not being said? What would have to be false for this argument to fail? Once assumptions surface, power shifts. This is why good thinkers sound calm. They're not reacting to conclusions. They're inspecting foundations. 3. Structural inversion. Flip the argument. If this were false, what would change? If the opposite were true, what would the world look like? Weak ideas can't survive inversion. Strong ones get clear. 4. Logical compression. The better you understand something, the shorter it becomes. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand its structure yet. Logos moves toward elegance. Noise is a sign of confusion. 5. Sequence over emotion. Stop asking, how do I feel about this? Start asking, what happens first, then what? Emotion follows sequence, not the other way around. This is why planning calms the mind. It replaces chaos with order. 6. Internal consistency. The hidden source of confidence. Confidence doesn't come from belief. It comes from coherence. When your values, actions, and goals align, you don't need to convince yourself. Logos removes internal contradiction, and contradiction is what drains energy. Logos is a tool, and like all powerful tools, it can be used cleanly or destructively. You can use structure to clarify or to manipulate. The difference is intent. Logos doesn't make you moral, it makes you effective. Once you start thinking this way, life feels different. Arguments slow down, decisions sharpen, anxiety loses its grip, not because you control everything, but because you understand what actually follows from what. So here is the conclusion. Although the logos is common, most people live as though they had a private understanding. Logos is bringing things together into order. Logos is something that makes things intelligible by arranging them. Logos is the universal principle of order, the rational structure behind constant change. Logos is the ability to explain why something is the case. It's persuasion through reasoning. Logos is merciless, but fair. It doesn't care what you believe, only what follows. And once you see it, you start noticing the chains everywhere. In arguments, in systems, and in your own thoughts. The Logos was never hidden. You were just never taught about it. Write power of coherence in the comments. Is you found this video helpful or interesting? And don't forget to subscribe and share for more. See you next time on my way.